Dear diarrhea, diarrhea full of shit. Just play along with me. Self and I, no one else at you. I'm so legit. Hey, Katie Boo. I just checked your Facebook page because I had mentioned that, and I thought, oh, I'll go check that out. I just sort of included. I haven't checked Facebook in like 2 or 3 days, and I just sort of what have you. And like I said, it used to say on there that you were married. Maybe I didn't check it good enough. I'm pretty sure I did, though. Now it doesn't say that you're married, but there's new shit that I didn't see before, so I'm assuming you updated it. You've got fairly recent pictures. I think you must use it. Put pictures on there. You live in New York now? Really? Or is that just because what you say? You put your mobile phone number on there. I'm not going to call it, obviously. I don't know if it's a legitimate number, but the area code is from that area. It said like the Pennsylvania type area, which is, all the states are, clustered together and they're all small over there. So, but you appear to live in the same house or condo or apartment or whatever it is. And your recent video was of, a chick you've done videos before with. And, you've done videos with, the mom with the tits and little Miss can eat a potato sideways. And I thought they lived in Chicago. I know the mom with the tits does because she's got like a spa there that, it's like such and such, distance 30 minutes from O'Hare, or whatever. So, I know if you got an old, number, an old phone and you move, you can keep your number. I think you can keep it as long as you want. I've encountered several people, who lived in Colorado but had different numbers. Like, what the heck? There was this one guy. Where was his number from? I think it was New Mexico. One guy, the guy I used to work with, his number was from Kansas. But and the guy I used to work with before that, his number is from Oklahoma. But these are all relatively close states. I don't know how it would be if it was. Well, no, because I remember one time I was in New Jersey picking up a load, and I didn't go over that way much. And the guy gave me a call, and it was a number from California that I didn't recognize. Well, I didn't recognize it, so I didn't answer it. And then the guy, stepped out of the door. He was trying to call me. It was the shipper, and he said something like, "Pick up your damn phone, asshole," or something like that. So he called me again, and I was like, "Hello?" So I wasn't even mad, just whatever. But I remember that. I don't remember what I was picking up or where I was taking it, but it was a shit little warehouse. You could at least, sight it in. It really sucks when you encounter those places where you had to blindside it. There was a place like that when I used to work for the Land of Milk and Honey, but it was like at an angle. You kind of had to pull out there in an intersection and then back up, and it was kind of down in the Denver area, so people are shitbags. The lower caliber of people, the more careless they are around trucks. They'd walk right in front of me and behind me, but that wasn't bad because it was kind of at an angle. And I remember I would just get out of the intersection because I'd swing it as well. Nobody cares, but anyway, I had my technique to just get the fuck, out of there, and then I would position and then blindside it in. But it was an easy blindside, But this place, there's a bunch of trucks parked out on the street and all kinds of shit. And I remember I did an audio presentation talking about that. Fucko probably remembers. She's probably like, oh, that's where I live. Oh, I remember that day. Oh, I was like, you're so close, yet so far away. Oh. long time ago. But I remember one time I was down in, I believe it was Georgia, and my truck was in the shop for a couple days, and they put me in a motel. And, you know, it was at like the, you know, Peterbilt shop, or, you know, Joe Blow truck shop or whatever. You know, so I just hung out in the motel, and then I had a load going from, you know, Atlanta to California. But because the truck was in the shop, they ended up taking it off of me, and I ended up getting a load to like fucking Ohio or some shit. But, oh, boo. So where'd you get that number, if that's your real number? Did you used to, because it seems like you've lived there in Chicago for a bit. Did you just keep your number? Because I just, in that my last audio presentation, that was another one of those forever and a day long ones, I started talking about you towards the end, you know, and places that you lived, and, you know, different houses. Did you used to live in fucking New York? You don't have a New York accent, or like East Coast, Boston, you know? So, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have an accent. But anyway, you're weird. Because I swear it was updated. So was that legit? Did you used to be married, which means you're divorced, which means you're, you know, you fucked over a dude, you know, and you're living off of half his paycheck? So you're probably not living in his house anymore, but you're still getting his money, half of it. How interesting. Is that why you're kind of so old and shit? You know, it's because like maybe things didn't work out. You know, it's not that you fucked around and now you're all old and shit, you know, but, you know, it's like you were married, which again just doesn't really help your case. You know, it's like, oh, our Katie Boo, she was married, didn't give me any grandbabies, and then fucking got divorced, you know, and this, that, and the other. So anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. You're on the list. I mean, you are my future wife and all. I mean, if I wasn't a troll, did that sort of shit, and this wasn't complete and utter fucking bullshit. Because, yeah, I swear, well, like I said, you know, it appears that you're still active. I never saw that shit before. Then again, that might just be kind of the story that you put up there. You know, it's like, well, I still got the number. Because your phone number, I don't think, was up there before. But, because I'm the same way. You know what I mean? It's like you got that old phone number. So, you know, it's the phone number that you use for, like, you know, different accounts and stuff. You know, like when I get my, I don't know how it works, you know, but, you know, I'm the same way. You know, I have a phone that I don't use, but I keep it active, you know, because the phone number is associated with so many different things. But anyway, how interesting. How interesting. East Coast. So do you know Bundle Baby? She was from the West Coast, you know, Los Angeles for a long time. And she's from Canada. I'm not sure exactly where, you know, what province or Providence or whatever it's called. Yeah, cute Canadian chick. Anyway, interesting. So would you be willing to take, when we're married, you know, would you be willing to take a trip back to New York? New York? That's fucking kind of cool, girl. Used to live in the Big Apple. But now you live in Chicago and you're like, oh shit, this is downsizing. You know, I live in Colorado and, you know, we got Denver. And I always considered Denver kind of a small town. Because I remember I said that to a dude. He was a driver trainer, and it was a while back, and he lived in Spokane, Washington, whatever it's called. And I used to drive through there every now and then, actually a fair amount, with my company before the land of milk and honey. And I was talking about Denver. I'm like, yeah, Denver's, for however it came about. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty small city. And he's like, oh, small city? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but Spokane, is like a little dipshit town. So Spokane, however you say it. But yeah, that's on my bucket list, which I will never accomplish unless, of course, I'm with you. I wanted to go to New York and get a slice of like legitimate New York pizza, a New York hot dog, like with the sauerkraut and Dijon mustard. They used to sell them at Sonic, as well as Chicago dogs. And then they had the chili dog and the American dog. But of course, human beings, being faggot fucking motherfuck pieces of shit that they are, apparently they didn't buy them enough, so they don't sell them. Like at any locations, you can just get the American dog and the chili dog. Because people are stupid pieces of fucking wretched shit. It's not a big deal to make your own New York dog. But, a Chicago dog kind of takes a little bit of like fabrication. It's got like those weird peppers or whatever, and the tomato and the pickle and shit. And it's like, you motherfuckers. Just piece of shit fucking human beings. They're just sucking down chili dogs, man. I'm a human being. You piece of fucking shit. At least they do have good poppers. So, yeah. I'd have to kind of make a trek to go there. But then they got their like ice cream and stuff, their shakes. Like I said, when I worked for the company before the company and whatnot, I'd have an hour for lunch. I'd go sit there and fucking just park there and hang out and do get me a small, shake. They have like this master craft shakes and the regular shakes and whatever they're called. So anyway, girl, sweet future wife of mine, fucking little Miss New York thing, had no idea. Such a small girl in such a big city. I wanted to get some, buffalo wings, which I think the buffalo wing was invented in Buffalo, New York. It was like leftover stuff, like crap, and this some kids, was like, Ma, we're hungry, and she put a bunch of hot sauce on it, and that's like how the chicken wing was. And I know fucko's thinking about that because I had mentioned that way back when. I'm like, do you know how the chicken wing is made? Because I do. So she's like, because she's just, doing what she does. And the tortilla, or the nachos, I'll spare the story on that, but I guess that was kind of one of those, soldiers passing through a town. Well, I guess I'll tell it real quick. Apparently there was this broad, and she had some tortillas, and they were like, hey, you got any grub? And she was like, So she put the tortillas in the oven and melted like cheddar cheese on it, not nacho cheese, but like regular cheese, and put a jalapeno on each chip, and now you've got the birth of nachos. And of course now they've evolved, to use nacho cheese, and all that shit. But apparently, according to mystical lore, that's how nachos were invented, and that's how hot wings were invented. And I think that might be why they call them buffalo wings. But anyway, I want to get me some of those, at like 2:00 in the morning at like some bar or something like that, or not a bar, but like a, like a restaurant / bar type deal. And you and me will go there, and I'll be like, show me your town, because what's her name, Bundle Baby, I said that, show me your town, but this isn't really your town. She's lived there for about a year now or so. I don't know, 2 years, but shit, that's your town, girl. Like right there, and that's like big time shit, that's in the city. So, shit, we'll take a cab ride. That reminds me of one time when I was like 16, 17 years old. I was in the mighty Isuzu with my best friend's little brother, and he saw some sort of sports car, and he's like, oh, cool, a fucking I don't know, I don't remember, it was some sports car, and I swear to God, on my side of the vehicle, there was an old checker taxi, and I'm all, oh, cool, an old checker taxi. And he's all, Superman, we have completely different tastes in automobiles. And I said some smart ass remark like, yeah, my taste will stand the test of time. Mine gets better with time. It's just a classic. Yours will be old, and forgotten in 10 years. It doesn't have staying power. The checker taxi has staying power. So fuck off, bitch. And one time I used to, I'd keep honey roasted peanuts. Planters honey roasted peanuts in the console of the Isuzu, and it's a stick shift, but there was room for a can of peanuts. I'd just munch on them every now and then, because that's how I get down. And he was in there, and he kind of grabs for him, and of course, so the first thing I say is, "Keep your hands off my nuts," and it's like hardy har har. And he said, "I don't see your name on them." And my grandma had actually put my name on the lid. And I lifted it up and just showed him. And he let out like a belly laugh, like, what the hell? Because what are the odds, right? Pure coincidence. Because my grandma, my dad, shit, what the hell's wrong with me? My grandpa would also eat, peanuts, right? And pillow mints, and stuff. And he always had, kind of a can of something in his vehicle. And he had always had a can or two of like some sort of nut and some mints in his vehicle. And same thing on the counter in the kitchen, so he would walk in, whatever, just grab a handful of nuts or a mint or two and then walk off and continue doing what he was doing. So, she put my name on my can because it was like unopened, and she didn't want my grandpa to go in there and open my can of nuts. So that's how that worked out. It was hilarious. It was a timeless, classic piece of history in the making. I don't see your name on it. Just silently, showed him the lid. It literally has my name on it. Oh, what a riot. So, damn, girl, I did not know that about you. Fucking A, fucking A. I've only lived in Colorado. I was born in Wyoming, and I lived there, for like 3 years. So, you like sagebrush? Sagebrush smells really nice, I will say that. But fucking A, girl. I mean, it's too bad I'm just a troll. I don't do shit like that, and this is complete and utter fucking bullshit, because, damn. Yeah, my wife, she's got a past. She was a New Yorker. Shit. That's where her attitude comes from, her sass. Yeah. Anyway, thinking about you.